This company is especially dear to me because this is the company where I create my podcast.
Where we're trying to build a global network of studios.
In the world of artificial intelligence, right? And technology and so on, you go back to, basics.
As a business model, running a podcast studio the right way is an amazing business model.
You actually have investors waiting for your next round.
I got obsessed about building something that can last.
I have to say that you're an inspiring entrepreneur. Hi guys, welcome to my new episode, Brand Through Stories, podcast about endearing stories of people behind successful and impactful brands. Today, my story is about Vuk Zlatarov, who is the experienced entrepreneur who wanted to create a company that focuses on technology and processes and less on people, and ended up creating a company that has an incredible vision that attracted a lot of investors recently, company that focuses on people, human connection, and shared knowledge and stories. And this company is especially dear to me because this is the company where I create my podcast. Welcome, please, my guest, Vuk, who is a co-founder of a Poddster company, the leading podcast studio in the Middle East. So, Vuk, thank you so much for finding time. I know your schedule is very busy now with all the investors' pressure. So really, I appreciate your time. I want to start with one thing. What is your vision?
Well, we're going straight into it. Vision obviously evolved, and I loved your introduction. How you explained the journey that I was on, and I really didn't see it coming. Everything that happened with Poddster happened so organically. That is truly a story to be told. So we ended up today. We ended up in a place where we're trying to build a global network of studios where amazing people gather to meet and grow with other amazing people through these transformational human connections and shared stories and experience.
I have goosebumps every time you say that because I've experienced it myself, and it's so true. And when I hear these visions like that, they're incredible to me, incredible. So it's the network of studios, where people connect, amazing people grow together.
And the funny thing about the vision, and you know that better than anyone else, when you try to chase them, they usually don't come. But when you sort of, in my case, even try to avoid them, all of a sudden you wake up with them. And it's funny how things happen with Poddster and how we formed this vision, and how this vision is actually shaping us now and giving us that North Star. So even on the days when we are confused, what's really our next step, we just think of that, and I think it gives us clarity to what we need to do next.
Yeah, so how did you end up? I remember I've met you more than a year ago, right? More than a year ago. And we connected because we were discussing how we're both tired of agencies world. No, I didn't. I'm still back to that. I still love it. How we're all tired of agency world, and how it's too great to maybe create a company that has more in technology rather than people.
Yeah.
Or even maybe not doesn't sound right, but that was the conversation.
Yeah, I think that people are trying to avoid that or saying it out loud, but a lot of people are tired from people. And I think that's just the simple truth that many of business people today are experiencing. And I'm not blaming anyone, everyone in trying to do their best, but it's just how the system works currently is not allowing a lot of them to enjoy doing what they're really born to do, and more people work, for to pay the bills rather than to purposefully spend their time in that certain space. And I think there is a reason for that. It's just how the system works. And I've spent years and years
In the system.
working on something that I didn't really enjoy day in, day out. It's a very long story, but in summary, me and a few of my friends, day after graduating, started a business in Serbia, moved to Dubai, or set up another office in Dubai soon after that, and 2 years later set up a business in Singapore as well. And now imagine 6 graduates from Serbia without any previous experience in business, trying to build a multinational digital transformation agency and learning everything on their own.
Sounds like a dream team.
Sounds
like a lot of dream of a lot of startups these days.
I think that we really achieved a lot, and there is a success part of that story, and there is a failure part of that story. We eventually didn't succeed in building call it a successful company, but we learned so much the hardest possible way that accelerated each of us in our next step. And one of those next steps is Poddster, and how I'm trying to implement everything that I learned over those years. And throughout those years being in the service business, in the agency business, I said, I just don't want to rely on people anymore. Managing human talent and people is really not something that I enjoy, and you just don't have sort of a control over it. So when we started building Poddster, I said, let's build something that is not going to depend on people at all, just to end up in a place where we built a place that purely depends on people.
Depends.
So it's very funny.
So the and you know what I was thinking recently? I think after the conversation I had with you, what podcast really is. And even when I started my podcast, I still believe that podcast is about great guests, is about good content that your audience will love, is about very good quality technology and post-production. And then conversation with you and meeting you changed my whole. It's not about that. And it's about what you said, it's about that, it's, I would say, intimate moment, right? That you create with your guests. That usually, even in our real life now, we don't even have those moments with the loved ones.
It's it's beautiful.
So it's not just microphone. Anyone can get microphone and a camera, right? But what happens after that, or during that process, that connection?
It's transformational. And when I started, the whole Poddster story started with me and Ivan starting the Change Officer podcast from completely different reasons. So Ivan comes from the media. He was obviously already introduced to the whole media space. I come from tech. So we started the podcast from the pure, reason of supporting our businesses, personal branding, and all of the obvious reasons someone starts the podcast. But now, 3 years later, I truly think that podcasting is so much deeper than that.
Yeah.
Because of what we are experiencing even at this moment of talking to each other. This magic of snapping into this focus in this closed, cozy room under these lights. And the moment, we get that clap and we start talking, we go like deep.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's possible in any other scenario in life. Not in a coffee shop, not in a restaurant, not at the event, even not at your home. There is something that these cameras and lights are doing for people to accelerate that connection by 10x immediately.
Even now I'm inspired.
Yeah.
And what's interesting, what I've noticed after that is when you finish and you meet other people who are doing podcasts, or we call them podsters here, right?
Yeah.
We all connect also. We're all happy to support each other, to like each other, right? To share guests, to share. So it's also then the connection after the episode, or...
Well, I always say that doors of this studio are kind of a filter for amazing people, because by design, every host is, in most of the cases, well connected, inspired, and informed, and someone that is just great to have a conversation with. By design, every guest is a person of some sort of influence. So whoever ends up in the studio ends up being someone that you would like to know. And then when you know, on daily basis, just keep expanding your network with people of that profile, you truly become, you change, you transform, you grow at a pace that I didn't experience before.
And what was that the whole idea at the beginning when you opened the
Absolutely
studio?
not.
Not.
Absolutely not. From being so tired of running an agency and trying to break even and you know, design a comfortable life for myself, and failing in that, I was purely focused on building a super stable, well organized business that is going to generate some profits. And I saw the opportunity. And as a business model, running a podcast studio the right way is an amazing business model, and it is going to provide that. But what it ended up being and what it ends up becoming is like beyond what I could have ever imagined for this. And it's everything opposite of not depending on people.
It makes me smile. When was that transformational moment when you realize it's not microphone and camera and good lighting and great operator, is actually about people? When was that you said, oh, it's a different?
Well, I think that this is something that evolved. And although I feel like it's been, you know, a lot of time since we worked on this, it's been only maybe a year or so actively working on Poddster in this in this form. But I think that on my level, it started with my own podcast and the experience that I had. So I recorded around, I don't know, maybe around 200 episodes so far of different formats. And now when I look back, some of the closest connections and friends that I have are actually the guests from that show.
Really?
And it's funny because that's not something that I saw coming. And the biggest lessons that I've learned, and after all, about the vision and then putting that North Star, came from people that I met through Poddster and my podcast. And then I guess the conclusion is, you know, podcasts are currently peaking and trending. And if you don't look carefully under the hood, you would assume that podcasts are something that are experiencing a trending peak now, and maybe they're going to slow down and there will be something else. But when I realized that podcasts are just a name, or how we currently call a conversation between two people that is very deep, when I realized that this is timeless and that the only thing that is impossible to be replaced by any AI or technology is this human connection, I realized that we are actually working on something that doesn't have an end.
Yeah, that's for.
And at that stage, I felt like, okay, this is now definitely becoming so much more than what I thought of podcast studios before.
And interesting thing is that in the world of artificial intelligence, right, and technology and so on, you go back to, you know, basics of humans.
True.
Is the connection, and this is very powerful as a purpose or vision for the company.
Yes, and we got asked obviously a lot about podcast studios as a concept now, and from both, you know, partnership perspective, from expansion perspective, from the investment perspective, from, you know, just consultancy perspective. And I describe podcast studios as, you know, walking into a nice coffee shop. Most of
the podcast studios.
Most of people who walk into a nice coffee shop say, wouldn't it be so nice for me to run a coffee shop like this?
Yeah.
And it seems so easy, right? It seems that, you know, you just need to get a space, put some cameras in and start recording.
Yeah.
And it is to start. But to build a global business, and a business where the people working in your podcast studio enjoy coming, you need that North Star, and you need the purpose, and you need to know where you're heading, because otherwise it's just going to end up being a dark room, but people hate coming in. And I think I'm proud that I was both lucky and I guess experienced enough at this stage to start bringing people to Poddster who believe in the vision and are in Poddster not because of what we are doing currently and the service that we are providing. They are in Poddster because of what we are trying to become and where we're heading. And I think in life we all need that sort of purpose, whether it's business or life. And that's something I'm proud of.
You've recently raised money. A lot of in the time when it's difficult to raise money these days, right?
True.
You recently raised money, and I know that a lot of people, and I'm one of the lucky investors also. I know a lot of people that wanted to invest to you but didn't have a chance in the first round.
Yeah.
How did you manage that? Where people going around knocking at the door, investors and asking for money. You actually have investors waiting for your next round.
Yeah, I mean, I could say that because I'm, super capable entrepreneur who built a successful business, but it's not that. It's not that. I think that at the moment, it's funny. Lately I've been using this story, an analogy. So this group of friends that started this first business, we are still working together in all different partnerships, and we are all different. So you have from crazy visionaries to pure builders. And I usually use that story of three little pigs that are building houses, and then one pig is building a house of grass, the other one from mud, and the third one from bricks. And I started comparing myself to that little one that builds the brick house.
Be a pig.
Be a
pig who builds.
And I think because I went through such a long period of trying to build a stable business, I got obsessed about building something that can last. And from the very first day of building Poddster, I was thinking about how can we build every single process and the step in Poddster to last. And because of that, we created a profitable business from the get-go. And in the sea of unicorn, tries, coming across a business that is making money and raising funds becomes a very interesting opportunity. Plus, most of the investors, as you, experienced Poddster firsthand. Yeah. And you knew what is this all about, and you saw the opportunity firsthand. And I think that really helped us a lot to raise money easily and to have people who are going to support us now in our global expansion plans.
I think that I went through the transformation myself because of this. I truly believe in it, and it's a very solid business model, also very solid business. And that's what fascinates me as an entrepreneur. Being an entrepreneur myself, I realized that it's very hard to have two things, being inspirational and also being operation driven. True. And these two things really work together in your mind.
True.
How do these two things live?
I'm not sure if they're working that well, I guess. So far so good, but I say that I do have these two sides.
Yeah.
Part of me is a visionary, and part of me sees that whole big picture of we go global. Part of me is still behind the camera and trying to focus you in the shot. So I have that builder side of me and I have the visionary side of me. They're sort of working together, but there is always that fight between the two.
Which one is winning these days? What is the most?
I think I'm still more on the builder side with the understand of the vision, because if I was not, probably we would be already working on 5 other countries, not only 2. But by working on additional 2 countries already, I guess visionary is still kicking in enough. But I think you need to be cautious to not to overexpose yourself. And I just took that decision and the road. The plan is not to build the next unicorn. It's really not a plan.
It's unbelievable to hear this from the person who just raised also, money and so visionary and modern, not to build another unicorn. I think a lot of people, all they want is to build a unicorn.
But you know what's funny? I think the people who actually built unicorns never chased unicorns.
I think I agree with you. Yeah. That's they've never even expected to catch one. Yeah.
And the ones who positioned themselves from the get-go and communicated that towards their investors, employees, we're going to become a unicorn, became obsessed about it. Very few of them managed to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So far, this whole sort of step-by-step, brick-by-brick approach was giving us good rewards. And I believe that as long as you come in to the studio now every day and just do one small thing strategically that supports the business and helps the business, and if you keep doing that every day, all of this will follow. The moment you come to the studio and say, hey, we're making profits, this is a profitable, why don't I go to the beach and just enjoy? That's when everything stops. And my nature is not allowing me to do that. I have to be here and like every day try to improve just that 1%. 1%.
I know that you get a lot of inspiration from McDonald's.
Yes.
And I was like, studio, McDonald's, podcasts, how? Though, guys, I really believe that even being in one industry, you still need to have open eyes for all other industries that are happening around to get those inspiration and insights, to do a little bit of breakthrough in the industry you're in. And here's the example. How McDonald's could inspire a podcast industry.
It's incredible. And I said it so many times, even when I was pitching for the investment and explaining the whole logic of the podcast studio. I said, we want to build McDonald's of video podcast production. Like, what does that mean? Like, what do I mean? Like McDonald's. But if you think about it, what our aim is, because underlying under the vision of becoming a place where amazing people come to meet other amazing people and grow, you need to provide the service that those amazing people deserve. And you need to provide it day in, day out. And there must not be change. People are how do you say? They like habits. So the consistency of the service that you're providing needs to be there. Whether you walked into the Poddster in London, Dubai, or Singapore. And I always knew that if we achieve that, we're going to create such a powerful product that there will be no need for marketing and sales. Just the quality of the product will take care of the business and as a base. And everything else will be built on top. And I was always obsessed with McDonald's. I mean, the fact that you walk into a McDonald's in Jamaica and in New York and you get the same hamburger is just mind-blowing. And the fact that they managed to make people working in McDonald's even enjoy that repetitive process by introducing all sorts of gamifications, etc. For me, I was always obsessed and impressed, to the level that I was taking my notebook and I was spending hours in McDonald's brainstorming about Poddster, just to feel that vibe. Observe them, how they work, etc. And that's how we are building Poddster now. Every single step in Poddster and how we do it is documented and is a checklist. And that's the only way you can scale the business, the service business, which I couldn't do with the agency before. That was the problem.
Maybe it's time to go to McDonald's.
Maybe we should, next one we can do
next we're doing McDonald's. Maybe
McDonald's, yeah.
I have to say that you're an inspiring entrepreneur. A lot of things for me to learn, honestly. And I have to thank you really for giving the opportunity and creating an amazing studios like this where I can grow. And I grow.
I'm always, I'm bad on accepting compliments, because I always think that
it's not. Yeah, I know.
I have this big imposter syndrome kicking in all the time. So
I know the feeling. So what they say is that's what I'm working on. Also, you just say thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's what I do. I usually not like, oh no, it's not me. Just say thank you, and then in your head you can say it's not really me. I have the same thing with the imposter syndrome. I asked 3 questions, all my guests. The
All
first one is, to be a successful entrepreneur, what do you need to do regularly? What you shouldn't be afraid of, and what you need to stay away from. So what do you need to do regularly to be successful in business?
It's difficult to answer this question without repeating someone or something that is already heard 100 times, but I think you need to invest time in learning. What happened in my case, I was forced to learn every day, every year about how do you actually run a business. Business is a very complex, almost living being. There are so many elements of the business that you need to understand in order to run it and to design it and to build it. And as an entrepreneur, you need to have the understanding of all of these moving elements so that you can design a business model that will work. And the only way to do it is to learn. There are 2 trajectories for the entrepreneurs, and I'm always saying that you can start from the get-go, in my case, straight from college, and you go on a very long and journey of continuous learning to eventually reach that stage of some sort of success that you mapped out. Or you can spend years and years in organizations and the corporates and the companies learning from them, so that at one point you say, okay, now I'm ready to go, and you get on the boat of entrepreneurship. But at that point, your speed towards the goal will be much quicker. But it's all about the knowledge.
And thank God we live in the era where knowledge is there.
Yeah,
And
that's true.
podcast is one of the ways.
Yeah.
Also, there's a lot of things we can learn. And I hope this podcast also will give some inspiration and knowledge. Okay, that's great. What about don't be afraid of? What they shouldn't be afraid of to be successful?
Dark times.
It's true.
It's
true.
I think that
they're very
there will be a lot of dark times, really dark,
very, very dark
and,
sometimes.
and really difficult.
Yeah.
And entrepreneurship, I truly believe it's not for everyone. And I don't see it as a good or a bad thing. It's just very unique, tough, lonely, and you need to be ready for that. And to eventually become a successful entrepreneur, in my case, I feel that I'm really far away from that. You just need to be able to survive those dark moments.
What helps you to survive?
I think it's just that desire or whatever is the reason why you became so obsessed of building that next thing or a business. I think it's deep. I think it's wired into your just character, the way who you are.
It's not money, no?
I don't think it's really money. I mean, money is something that comes as a reward and as a sign, okay, you did it. This means that you obviously did something good. That's like your reward. But I didn't meet a lot of entrepreneurs who made money and stopped. There are a few of them, maybe. Most of them just continue doing the same thing, just on a different level. And they again end up in those dark times. It's just, I think it's a part of being an entrepreneur. And I don't like to, romanticize the idea of being an entrepreneur as something that is ultimate life goal.
Yeah.
It's
a lot of hard work.
It's just a different way of one of the ways you can have your career.
Yeah. What about stay away from?
Stay away from. Well, I would say people, but it's important to define what kind of people.
Yeah.
Definitely negative people. People who are pointing out the problem but not giving a solution. Because one negative person can bring down 3 positive persons. And it's very important to surround yourself with right people.
But is this even possible in dark time to be positive?
Well, that makes the whole game of entrepreneurship so complicated and challenging. Yeah, but also enlightening and growing, and the pace at which you grow as an individual, as a person is just amazing.
Yeah, thank you so much. I really enjoyed it. I learned a lot again, for sure, 100%. I'm so excited that I'm doing this thing. I'm so excited that you came to my podcast. Thank you so much.
I'm supposed to say just thank you.
Yes. Good. I love your story.
No,
You should be
perfect.
on the stage.
Yeah.
TEDx or TED.